Yep, they did that and they did that too. They did both of them. So, two things can be true at the same time. This is what I mean. Sometimes when we break up with somebody or our relationship is over, we want to villainize that person and be like, no, they cheated on me, or no, they lied on me, or they lied to me, or any of those things, right? And that's just the lump sum of the relationship. But that's not always true. So for me, the other day, I was going through some of my old pictures that I had saved on my Google Drive. And so I'm looking at different times in my life where I've had relationships with this person or this person, and I'm looking at the videos and I'm kind of laughing at the videos and the pictures and stuff like that. And I'm thinking, you know what? This person, we had fun. We really did. They made me laugh. They made me feel good. I remember when we went here, we talked about this. This is the first time we did this together. Okay, I'm having all of these conversations in my mind because really I'm processing the breakup, right? And then it came to me as an epiphany or an aha moment that this person wasn't all negative. The relationship wasn't all negative, right? Because if it was, then we would never have gotten into the relationship in the first place. And I think sometimes people want to, make it a clean, clear resolution. Even if it's not a romantic relationship, it could be a job, it could be a relationship with your children, it could be anything. And I'm going to use the relationship, I'm going to start off with the relationship with the children. So, of course, we love our kids, we love our family members, right? We do. But if they start getting on our nerves and causing us turmoil, inner turmoil. And I'm not just talking about they getting on our nerves, go sit down somewhere. No, I'm talking about if they are really causing some type of discontent, like a serious discontent, whatever that is, it's okay to still love them and not want them to be in our life in that moment. Or you have to get to a point where you are emotionally able to deal with them the way that's comfortable for you. Okay? This is what I mean. I have been in situations where a person has a terrible attitude. Their attitude is negative. Everything that comes out of their mouth is about somebody else, or it's about whatever they're going through that they don't like. They complaining about the service at the restaurant. They complaining about, it's too hot outside. They might be complaining about what I'm wearing, whatever. Okay. And I still love this person. This could be, I still care for this person. It could be a friend, right? They're not always like that, or they haven't always been like that, but this is the way they are now. So then what I decide to do is I only deal with them when I have the mental and the emotional capacity to do so. I've already predetermined in my mind, I'm going to go over here. We going to go out to lunch. We might hang out this day, and that's it. After that, I'll talk to them when I talk to them. I see you when I see you. Because I can't let that constant negativity, that negative vibe surround me all the time. That doesn't mean I don't love them. That doesn't mean that I don't want to spend some time with them, but I got a limit to it. Okay, because I can't deal with all that. I don't want to deal with all that, and I'm not going to deal with all that. You understand what I'm saying? So that doesn't mean that this person is totally bad. They could be a great cook, they could be funny at times. We can have a really good time sometimes when we hang out. They could be super talented, they could have a lot of money, and they could still be a negative contributor in my life. Two things can be true at the same time. I'm going to use this example, and I hope you understand that I don't have an opinion about this example that I'm going to use. I can't say what happened and what didn't happen because I wasn't there, but I'm going to use this specific example. I remember watching the special that Miss Winfrey had about the two gentlemen that claimed that they were SA'd by Mr. Jackson. And if you know, you know. And I remember her saying on the stage as she was talking to these two people that a lot of people say this is a great entertainer and he made great music, and he loved the kids, and so he couldn't have possibly done this. And I remember her saying he could have done that and he still was a great entertainer and he still made good music and we still loved him as a performer. But that doesn't mean that he didn't do those things to these children. Now, once again, I'm going to tell you, I don't have an opinion about that. I do have an opinion, but I'm not going to share it because that's not my lane. Okay? I'm just using that as an example. Another example, you could be in a relationship with someone and y'all are no longer in a relationship. And somebody might ask you, why did y'all break up? Or let me use this example. I have been in a domestic violence situation. And a lot of times people will say this, and this is a question that I don't like when people ask this question. But anyway, people will say, well, why didn't you leave? Or why didn't you stay? Why did you stay so long? Or why was you with him in the first place? Well, he didn't come to me in that way. You understand what I'm saying? He didn't present himself initially to me as an abuser. Otherwise, we would never have gotten past date number one. So he didn't present himself in that way. A wolf in sheep's clothing does not come to you as a wolf. It comes to you as a sheep. Innocent, positive, charming, loving, trusting, and trustworthy. You have to spend a little bit of time with somebody, a little bit, before the real them comes out. And let me also say something about the real them, because me, myself, and other people I've noticed, we are quick to villainize a person. Now, I'm not talking about somebody who's physically putting their hands on you and, constantly gaslighting you and making you question yourself. Okay. I'm talking about less extreme situations. All right. So we will quickly put all of this negative energy or all of these negative labels on one person and say, that's who they are. That's impossible. Every person has a good side and a bad side. Me, you, everybody, right? And sometimes we'll say things like, that was fake, or they didn't really mean that, or that was disingenuous. But sometimes we don't know that. We really don't know that. So you can't automatically say that a person, because you broke up with them, that they didn't love you. or they didn't even like you. Now, sometimes that is true. They were really out to scam you. They really didn't like you. They really didn't care about you. And those situations are more, can be towards the abuse side. So I'm not making generalizations. What works for your situation, all situations don't fit in the same category. But no, I'm just talking about basic things. People can get on your nerves and they can still be good people, or they can still have good attributes. Two things can be true at the same time, and those two things can be contrary to one another. So, once again, you can love somebody and they can love you. And that does not take away the fact that they can also not be good to you and for you. But that don't mean that they didn't love you. Okay? It does not mean that. Two things can be true at the same time. So I hope that you understood this video. And if this video resonated with you, give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing. And below in the comments, if you know what I'm talking about and you had a hard time distinguishing that, let me know in the comments, because I did. It was sometimes where I was like, no, he couldn't have possibly loved me because this happened. No, that's not always true. He probably did love you. He probably did love me. He loved me in his own way. I loved him in my own way. But it just didn't work out for us. You understand what I'm saying? All right. So every week I have honest conversations like this one. And if you're interested in hearing more, like I said, give it a thumbs up, consider subscribing. And until my next video, peace and blessings, and I'll see you on the other side.